boa tarde. It's in Portuguese, right?
One.
No,
Yeah,
I'm joking. I can speak Portuguese nor English, so. Okay, thanks everyone for being here. Thanks Alex, thanks Myles and Jun for joining this panel. Well, we will try to make this panel a little bit interesting, so I have a script here, but if you want to interrupt each other or interrupt me, we need to make this fun, and it's a really nice subject since I know Myles and Jun from Bitcash, so we are very into stablecoins. My only problem is the English, but I will try to do my best. Well, but maybe we can start, guys. Why don't you introduce each other and introduce your project, Myles?
I'm Myles Snider. I'm with the Greymass block producer team. I also started a project called the Stablecoin Index, which was a data tracking site for stablecoins. And I've been interested in stablecoins for a really long time, as Matías mentioned, since the BitShares days. So one of the early decentralized stablecoin projects. And yeah, super excited to talk to these guys.
Hi, my name is Melikhov. I'm the CEO of the Equilibrium Framework and Equilibrium Lab, which is the technical company behind the framework. And our EOS story actually became back in October 2018 when we started creating this technical infrastructure on EOS, which includes actually robust price feeds and liquidation system, whatever, which actually became the basis for the technological framework. And the first product we have launched on the basis of the Equilibrium framework was USDT stablecoin, which was launched in April this year. And we have got some traction. I guess mostly all guys maybe here in this room actually heard about us. Maybe someone used USDT stablecoins for trading, for leveraging their EOS holdings, whatever. Yeah, that's
how much EOSDT is in circulation?
Yeah, good question. So currently we have more than 4.5 million EOSDT generated by our users, which is actually this supply is backed by EOS collateral in amounts roughly 5 million US, which makes us actually one of the biggest dApps on EOS mainnet.
Okay, thank you.
In terms of balance, for sure.
Hi, my name is Jun Dam. I'm with 100X, and it doesn't say, but Bitcash is kind of the stablecoin system behind 100X. So we have an application that works well with our stablecoin. So Bitcash is our stablecoin system. So founder of that. And as Matías mentioned, early BitShares guy, and I heard Myles was as well. So we're very familiar with stablecoins, and I've always been a fan of how stablecoins were the practical, I think, intermediary before we'd be able to get mainstream adoption. So I was always looking at something in the stablecoin area and DeFi. So
great, thank you guys. So just to start, maybe this question is more for Alex and Jun. What are the many of us know about MakerDAO, right? It's like de facto stablecoin in Ethereum. Well, the co-founders of MakerDAO were Rune Christensen and Nikolai. Nikolai was the first employee from Dan Larimer in Invictus Innovation. This is just a colorful note. Okay, but how your project compares with MakerDAO, Alex?
And I'll follow up with a comment on that. Most people don't know that MakerDAO, the two founders, Rune and Nikolai, they actually built their first kind of front end on and actually was using BitShares before they moved over to Ethereum, which gave them more flexibility. But that was kind of a neat to know that they came from the BitShares ecosystem. Those
important blockchain history.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, yeah. So in terms of MakerDAO, there are three major types of stablecoins. There are collateralized, there's fiat-backed, there's algorithmic stablecoins. We, Alex and I, are more on the collateralized stablecoin. And then you have Tether, which is fiat-backed. And algorithmic, there's been a few maybe Myles can name a few, but yeah,
I honestly don't think there's any algorithmic stablecoins that are actually live.
Yeah.
There was like a bunch of concepts, the highest profile one being Basis, but I don't think that approach has actually been tried yet.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and actually the model of MakerDAO is proven, right? So it actually represents a proven model which is already out there, which is established, which is actually tested and tried. So yeah, on BitShares for sure.
Yeah, maybe we should break this down just a little bit further for people. When we're talking about these three models, there's the very simple model, which is a company basically has a bank account filled with dollars and they issue tokens that represent IOUs on those dollars. That's what Tether does, that's what TrueUSD does. And it's a centralized model and it's useful for certain things, but
Sorry, you say that it's risky? Risky?
well, it's centralized. Is what I said.
But
Yeah.
it works, right?
It works, yeah.
Okay, good.
And I think for certain use cases, it's great. It's a different risk trade-off than the other model, which is everything exists entirely on chain. The collateral isn't dollars in a bank account, but rather crypto tokens that exist in a smart contract. So you're not taking on the counterparty risk, but you do have a different type of risk. And we'll talk later in the panel about how you guys think about managing that risk. But the difference between the two models is really that one is centralized and then the other one is decentralized, and you have different risk trade-offs as a result. But both of your guys' projects are decentralized collateral-backed stablecoins, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's correct.
And then back to Matías's question about how it differentiates from MakerDAO. You know, there's certain design decisions, very big ones that you have to kind of think about in order to you know, create a system like this. So there are variables that you can change in these systems. You know, how much over collateralization, what kind of price fee do you use? There's certain things that you know, you just have to think about. One big design decision that's different from BitShares or MakerDAO for us is that we number one, we pool everybody together. So in most of these systems, you individually create stablecoins, and but in our system, we just pool everybody together. And so we have one overall loan to value ratio that we try to kind of make sure it's below, and you know, that's we could you know, you could do over collateralization or loan to value. So ours is maybe 60-70%. You could then that we can change. We'll probably start around 60% loan to value. So you create a loan off of your collateral. That's the amount that that we use. But the other big design decision for our particular system is that there's a price feed we use as the truth. We don't, you know, we don't actually have the asset trade kind of as individual assets against the collateral, which most systems do. So there's like a separate market where you're trying to find pricing between what I think is two like uncertain, you know, uncertainly priced assets. So you have like the stablecoin that trades against EOS or Ethereum, and so you just it's hard to kind of manage the pricing between two independent assets. So we say there's a price feed, that's the truth. We just fixed the peg to how much EOS is trading at that time with the price feed, and that's pretty much it. So there's not this idea of two independent assets. So that's another one. I can mention a third probably big difference, but I don't know, maybe if you want. Okay, so the last one is that people have to, there's a risk that if you're under collateralized that, you know, what do you do then, right? You're gonna be lower, you might get less than $1 back, or it may be worth less than $1. In our system, if the collateral is not worth as much, is kind of below what's out there in terms of token supply, we actually just return the EOS back to people at that time. So they'll get $1's worth of EOS when it's under collateralized. And so it's a progressively gradual way of getting people back into something that's worth $1 at that time and no longer a stable coin, but at least they have a EOS worth of $1 worth of EOS, and then they can do whatever they want with. So it's a different system. It's progressive. It's natural. It just kind of gives people back their EOS. So But from a user perspective, they may, and it's not going to happen often, but they may end up with EOS in their wallet instead of the stablecoin. So that's one thing that is a potential risk there. But at that point in time, as long as they get $1 back at that time, they have the flexibility to do something else with it. So anyway.
Okay, right.
Okay, so yeah, let me take it from here. So basically, in terms of what you said regarding the price feeds, actually, we are open to collaboration. If you want, we actually can offer to you our technical infrastructure which we have been building so far in terms of Equilibrium, and you can take it from there and integrate our price feeds into your system. So that's why we're actually we're open to collaboration here. In terms of differences between our system and the system of MakerDAO, I would say that we initially were building the use case for our technical infrastructure, for our the Equilibrium framework, and we didn't want to be much apart from the existing systems. And just we wanted to inherit the main advantages of system which is already out there, which are established, as I mentioned, and which has proven its concept, right? But another thing which is very, very important is that we actually not just inherit the advantages of the systems like BitShares itself. But also we took all the advantages of technical infrastructure, of EOS infrastructure, which actually combines price, absolute like free transactions, right? So in terms of that, we can have almost real-time price feeds on our smart contracts, which is almost impossible on other blockchains like Ethereum. And these price feeds are actually literally decentralized, right, compared to MakerDAO, for instance, which has quite centralized system for price feeds. Also, we use deferred transactions on EOS, which is plays actually a crucial role for the system, because we can do, we have released a recent update for the system, which includes multiple margin calls for users' positions, and it actually was possible to implement with respect to this kind of mechanism of deferred transactions on the EOS blockchain. Yeah, so that's in broad strokes what we have done in terms of the USDT stablecoin and how it differs.
Great. Myles, you were talking about Tether, that it's centralized, right? But we have a price feed in stablecoins. So can you explain what oracles are in the context of stablecoins? Why do they matter? What are the different oracle models? Something along those lines?
Yeah, and I want to let these guys each talk about the oracles that they're using specifically, but the broad concept of an oracle is that you have information that exists outside the blockchain, so the price of an asset like USD, and you need to take that information and feed it onto the blockchain. So that requires some sort of bridge from the outside world onto the blockchain. And the simplest way to do that is a completely centralized bridge that just fetches the feed from an exchange, or fetches the price from an exchange and feeds it onto the blockchain. But if you're trying to build a decentralized system, like these guys are trying to do with their stablecoin projects, then kind of the Achilles heel of a lot of stablecoin projects is the oracle. And even within the industry, people talk about the oracle problem because creating a decentralized oracle is a very tough challenge, and there's been different approaches to it. On BitShares, you had each they were witness, right? Yeah. So the equivalent of block producers on BitShares were called witnesses, and they would each submit a price feed, and then the median of that was taken as the price. And then you also have things like secure data feeds, like Oraclize. You've got on the EOS mainnet Delphi Oracle, which is a multi-sig that's run by a number of BPs, kind of leveraging their public reputations in order to gain trust in that system. But there's kind of a spectrum of what you can do with oracles in order to go from fully centralized and trusted to fully decentralized and trustless, and some would argue that there's not necessarily a solution that's gotten all the way there. So given that that's such a big challenge and such a critical part of building stablecoin systems, how are you guys currently handling oracles, and do you have plans for the future to further decentralize?
Yeah, so the price feed and specifically our oracles are playing very important role for stablecoins, for decentralized models of stablecoins, because we actually are relying on actual price feeds in terms of margin calls for the positions, right? And just to give you a bit more color on that, so if actually users who are generating stablecoins on these systems like MakerDAO, USDT or BitShares, they're committing to a certain level of critical level of collateralization, and if their position due to price fluctuation of underlying collateral is going below this critical level, the position is getting liquidated. And in order to eliminate slippage from price perspective, actually the price feeds, they're playing a crucial role here as well, because we are relying on this price reference, which is on our smart contracts. In terms of our projects, we have integrated several Oracle services. I guess we are one of the first projects in DeFi space which actually have done integration of multiple Oracle services. So the first one was Provable. It's formerly known Oracleize, which is reputable and established Oracle provider operating since, I guess, 2016, something like that, starting from Ethereum times. So now they're available on EOS. Secondly, we have implemented integration with Delphi Oracle, which Myles mentioned. And now we're working on setting up our own DSP nodes for Liquid Apps and integration of Liquid Apps Oracle service as well. So actually we have the contracts which fetch prices from multiple services and actually building the median of these prices. The specifics for us here is that we support subscription to prices so that we can push prices, push notifications with prices to side applications, and in further, every DeFi application on the mainnet actually can subscribe to prices from our price feed. That's interesting point. And another thing, due to these push notifications, we can refresh the system automatically in some decentralized fashion. That's also very important, because we can if we see that prices. So I mean, if some positions are becoming under-collateralized, we can call for margin automatically without relying on some third parties, like it's implemented on MakerDAO, for instance, because they're actually relying on the community who are watching after positions and then triggering their smart contracts in order to call for margin. So that's how it's done. And with respect to all these amendments to existing models, that's what I was talking about, taking the advantage of the infrastructural and technical specifics on EOS. It actually allowed us to reduce collateralization requirements, and this is actually the huge difference between us and MakerDAO, for instance. So our current collateralization requirements is 130% compared to Maker, which has 150%. But we started definitely with more conservative parameters just to get the statistics, the data from like operational process to understand how actually system works, how it reacts on price fluctuations. And like on the start, this parameter was 170%. So for now, when we actually upgraded the system, have made a lot of amendments, integrated multiple price oracles, we have reduced collateralization requirements down to 130%. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So yeah, the Oracle problem is a really, really hard one, and so a purely trustless one is probably yet to be discovered, I guess. But so we're planning to do it in stages where we're going to be more centralized in the beginning, but we do use two price feeds, one centralized that we use, Crypto Compare API, and then we're going to use Delphi, which is a great kind of decentralized Oracle based on block producers. So EOS Titan, great job, Greymass, and Aloha, and Myles mentioned many others. So if you're a BP, you can actually contribute a price feed and earn some tokens by just participating. So if you are a BP, I think I encourage that we want more BPs to because you're trusted to put in a price feed and contribute to Delphi. So, but anyways, we use that as well. So Delphi and another price feed. And the other thing we're hoping for Delphi to eventually get to a point where there's enough data points where we get, we have a trading platform kind of embedded. So we need, every 5-10 seconds, or at least 10 seconds, we need a price point. And so if the more BPs that are feeding Delphi, I think it'll be easier for us to get the 10-second kind of increments that we want on our trading side of the platform. So, and Equilibrium also has, we can explore that in terms of they have a few price feeds that we can use as an option. So I think it's developing. Oracles are hard. It's like, how do you get like a purely trustless Oracle? And so we're gonna progress towards kind of better solutions over time. So.
Great. Okay, guys, we are almost finishing. So. One last question. Maybe we have some time to discuss Dan's proposal. But how do you
behind the scenes?
Sorry.
Behind the scenes.
How do you distribute control and ownership of your smart contract to prevent centralization, but also allows for upgrades? How do you are managing that?
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah. Again,
just missed it.
I don't understand why you don't understand me. How do you distribute control and ownership of your smart contract?
Oh yeah. This is very, very important question. Quite painful to all the ecosystem of EOS, I guess. Firstly, regarding the problem, right? So all the smart contracts, which are actually based on EOS ecosystem, can be updated, and we all know that it can be updated through with the use of active or owner key, and the thing is that if there is some malicious actor who is owning the smart contract, he actually can deploy some smart contract which differs from initial logic which is supposed to be there. In this case, in order to be compliant with decentralization approach, on our side, we are actually going to set up the multi-sig ownership for our smart contracts. We already have done some arrangements with block producers and reputable participants of the community who will be on our multi-sig, and all the decisions regarding the smart contracts updates will be done all together with it will require signature from the participants of multi-sig. I guess yesterday I was on the presentation of EOS doc, and we are quite impressed with the progress guys did in terms of decentralized ownership of smart contracts and actually management of decentralized systems. So probably we also look at their system and maybe consider implementation like EOS DAC for the ownership of the smart contracts of Equilibrium.
USDT. Do you feel like EOS has unique advantages because of DPoS and the fact that you can do something like get block producers to run a multi-sig? Because you have those parties who have public reputations at risk and are trusted parties within the ecosystem?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it's very different to other ecosystems because we have definitely these reputable guys on whom we can rely in terms of building all these projects, dApps, whatever. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Great. Myles, I remember that you were working on a stablecoin index. Do you want to mention something about that? You were running a stablecoin index, right?
Yeah, if you guys want to check it out, it's just stablecoinindex.com. We're going to be adding EOSDT hopefully this week, but it basically has circulation, volume, and price information for all of the major stablecoin projects. The idea behind it was that you have a lot of different stablecoins, and you want to be able to compare them based on a bunch of different data as a user to select which one you want to use. In particular, we've got price history over time, so you can actually see which stablecoins have been the most stable, which at the end of the day is probably the #1 consideration that you're looking for if you're a user of stablecoins. So yeah, check it out.
Great, thanks. Okay, we have finished, so if the panel is open for questions, I have many.
Could you comment briefly on the global settlement that happened with BitShares not too long ago, and your thoughts on that?
Wait, can you
It was
repeat
about, I guess it was about 6 months ago now. There
Yeah,
was a
BitUSD.
global settlement in the whole BitUSD system, basically, and it happened before BitCNY and others. I know you guys talked about being BitShares guys, and it was a pretty big example of a stablecoin that ran into some pretty black swan type event.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a little bit technical, but maybe when discussed when we finish. But yes, what's the first black swan that a smart coin has? I think that small coins, the small volumes, smart coins in BitShares had also black swans, but one of the biggest that was BitUSD got black swan.
And BitUSD was relatively stable since 2014, right, or 2015 when it launched. And then for the first time, the system itself was under-collateralized about 6 months ago. I haven't paid as close attention to BitUSD in recent times, but I know at one point that we're being called up. But I believe it went into the global settlement, and then actually the price recovered, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're out of time, but yeah, I mean, it was a big event, and I think ultimately people, I think, got their dollars worth the way it was structured. But there's the global settlement idea, and that's why I was thinking a more progressive system is actually better. So, anyways, we can talk offline. So, thanks.
Find us after if you want to talk more.
Yeah, okay. So my point here is that actually in terms of EOSDT will offer some mechanism quite soon regarding like insurance for the positions and for the system overall and its stability, which might like avoid these such kind of events.
Okay, just one last question. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.